The Pacific War continues. This is Gamer 1745 here, fellow armchair generals. Good to have you back. Of course, we're playing Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11, and we're playing as Japan. And as I said that, the Pacific War, what does that mean? The peaceful war continues, because that's actually what Pacific means. It's like the Pacific Ocean, the peaceful ocean. Compared to the Atlantic, on the general state, the Pacific is a more peaceful ocean, or more calm of an ocean, maybe we should say. Okay, well, we're getting ready to invade Honolulu. We're getting ready to we are sending some troops down here to here because these guys are retreating out and they're advancing. Don't mind them coming to this province so much, but I wanted to hold here along this river, and I'm thinking we'll make it, even though it'll take a while. But if they come here, my hope is that I think if we were attacking from here to here, we're going not just fighting into the mountains, which we have lots and lots of mountain troops, as we can see here. Well, lots of light infantry and things that should be good in the mountains. You're also crossing the river, so maybe they can send in a bunch of soldiers here. Maybe they will, you know, do fruitless attacks against even a relatively small force here. A couple of divisions. And then we can counterattack and push back against gutted divisions. At least that's sort of the hope, the plan, the thought behind it. And oh, something's going on here. Okay, we are battling some RAF strategic bombers, it looks like. I am sending this force here to just sit here, and I see these guys here right now, whatever they are. I am and to do escort / shore bombardment. This force here with the Taiho and the is RYU. That's always been a hard sound for me. Because it's not Ri, it's Ru. It's not RU, it's Ryu. Unryu. Okay, I'm butchering that, I know. This group's come to patrol this area here. And this with just one light cruiser escorting it is 2 Marine divisions going here, or no, here, to start securing some oil here in Borneo. And although it doesn't have an air base, this one does, but to secure basing to move to other places. And we are sending a few, we are starting our attack into Hong Kong. To take that, and we're sending some I've yet to see the American Navy show up, sending some landing craft from somewhere over towards here. Hopefully they'll make it safely. They're empty, to pick up some soldiers to start thinking about a Philippines invasion force. Okay, shift more over to that. And we're bringing in more troops. Again, I'm risking moving troops with little or no escort, but they do sort of have a lot of air and submarines and whatnot moving around, and I've yet to see anybody at sea around here. Oh, let's speed this up. Just before making this, was posting back and forth on the message boards below with Jeff, who's an Australian and who's a hero poster. He posts many good posts on stuff. talking a little bit about some of my comments on how the U.S. through supplies, not that American soldiers defeated every enemy in World War II, but production was the deciding factor, not just the tipping balance, but the deciding factor in who wins the war. And he made the point, and I reinforced with it to him, and I hope Jeff, hi Jeff, you're watching, that I totally agree that Japan was pushed to its limits in the Pacific, and that very likely Australia and New Zealand sort of could have held out against Japan, because if like all of Japan's military might focused against Australia and New Zealand, yes, they could win, but that's presuming moving all the troops out of China and everywhere else and focusing, you know, all of its navy and all of its air force just on that one target. Yeah, Japan was more powerful, but taking a look around, yeah, Australia could hold its own. And Percival, the commander down here, he just... I don't know enough about Percival. I could read the, you know, the Wikipedia article, and I don't know if that would educate me enough. But I don't know whether it's just his personality or the set of circumstances that he found himself in. He just did not handle the Singapore campaign well. And the British are known for good stubborn defenses, and I'm clicking over here in Gibraltar. And if you look at the Great Siege, there was the Great Siege, there were several sieges, but I think what they termed the Great Siege is in the sort of post American War for Independence War continuation war. I don't know how better to say that. As you may know, and I don't know how, you know, because trust me, guys, there are a few of you out there that know history very, very well and know it, and especially know certain aspects of it better than I do. So a few of you I know a lot of this stuff. But, you know, the Americans got fed up with British rule. Why did the Americans get fed up with British rule? Because they saw themselves as Britishers. A different flavor of Britishers, maybe sort of American British as opposed to Welsh British, as opposed to Northern English British versus, you know, Southern British, you know, different flavors. Or, you know, by that time, the Scots, 1770s, the Scots are more and more thinking of themselves as British, though, as we can see to this day, it's come close to independence movements. They've never fully reconciled that view, even to this day. The Irish never did, as a group. You know, there's always individuals, but I'm talking as a group. Where the independence movement in Wales, and I know they have some sort of parliament there now, it has been a really sort of minor sideshow for a long time. But the Americans, they thought of themselves, although they were colonists, and unlike the sort of the British that went down and lived in places like Jamaica, some multi-generational, but they were, you know, thin on the ground, and often most of them wanted to come and make their money in Jamaica or the Caribbean and then move back to Britain. The Americans wanted to, you know, they weren't like, oh, we're going to be a success in America and then move back home. No, they were at home, but they saw themselves as, you know, Englishmen, as British, as, you know, with all the rights as everybody else, and they weren't treated that way. So they got upset with that, and decided to rebel. Basically, of course, and this is, you know, I can talk about the unfathomable things why the modern left, and maybe because they don't know history, they think nobody else does. What really sort of finally pushed the Americans into revolt was that they were coming to take our guns, and we said fuck off at the, you know, Lexington and Concord. Yeah, so you come after our guns, and if you really come after our guns, not just make silly laws about magazine capacities, but, and this is to all of you out there in the world who think, oh, well, we could just solve the bad stuff you see in the news by whether, there's a higher shooting rate in the city of Chicago than there currently is in the city of Kabul, Afghanistan. You're more likely to. Now, of course, if you're an American just sort of wandering the streets in Kabul, you're more likely to be targeted by, extremist militias or something. But just your average citizen of Kabul, you're more likely to be shot. An average citizen is more likely to be shot in Chicago. Now that's, oh, well, if you just collected all their guns, and of course it's almost illegal to own a gun in Chicago. I mean, almost impossible to legally own one in Chicago. So, but if you, so we just get rid of all the guns. Well, that's what got us to start shooting at one of the superpowers of the world. And that's what would get that kind of thing to happen against the government if you actually really try to enforce it. So, take away the guns. Well, why don't we just pass a law that says the globe can't get any warmer, and the globe will just obey the law because it's a law-abiding globe. So global warming, go away. We don't have to tell the humans to do anything. Just tell it to not get any warmer. It doesn't work that way. It's going against an impossibility. So yeah, the Americans go for independence. After a while, it looks like the Americans could actually succeed, and the French particularly, but also the Spanish are really upset at the last couple of wars that they've had with Britain and didn't do so well. One of the things Spain wanted was Gibraltar back. And so even after Yorktown and Cornwallis's surrender, even though and British evacuation of all of what becomes the original sort of 13 colonies that separate. How many colonies were there in America? There was some question somebody on television posed, and somebody couldn't answer it. And of course, everyone's presuming the answer is 13. I don't even know how many, because you have Quebec is a colony. I believe Newfoundland and Nova Scotia were each different colonies up in Canada. Obviously they didn't, but British, because the question was, how many British colonies were there in North America? Or something like that. Didn't say rebel, didn't say that became the United States. So there were several other British colonies that didn't rebel. But even by the point that the British military armed forces evacuates all of what becomes independent colonies of America, except for New York City, and there's basically a ceasefire during the ongoing negotiations from after Cornwallis's defeat. Basically, there's an effective ceasefire, and the Americans stop shooting at the British because everybody knows we just got to go through the negotiations, and who wants to die on either side. Continue that out. There's already starting and continuing a major war between Britain and France and Spain on the other side. And it's sort of often overlooked, and it's sort of overshadowed over the tremendous world-changing event of American independence. But there are major naval battles down in the Caribbean. Islands change, at least briefly, hands, different invasions. And the Spanish, with large French support, come down and besiege Gibraltar. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. Not just they're shooting cannons at them, they're trying to do naval invasions, but the British are being sort of proactive, counter-raiding, doing naval attacks on preparations for naval invasions. There's a lot of, it's not just we're sitting behind the walls waiting to be stormed. They are doing a lot of active defense in Gibraltar. The reason I bring this up is because what is often called the Gibraltar of the East or Gibraltar of Asia is Singapore. Percival is in charge down here. If I'm not mistaken, Percival had previously been a general doing something in North Africa, but I may be. Hold it, let me just click over to Wikipedia and look that up. Sorry about that. Yeah. Arthur Percival. He was in the British Expeditionary Force command, brigadier, in France. Briefly became general officer commanding the division, Dunkirk. Percival's assessment. Okay, I guess he wasn't in North Africa. For some reason I thought he is general officer commanding in Malaya, of course. So, so maybe the, oh, sorry, we're back here now. Maybe the defeat and retreat out of the Battle of France and the whole Dunkirk thing affected him. Or maybe he just never was a suitable commander for it. Because, how do I put this? They shoot Byng on the quarterdeck of his Admiral Byng on the quarterdeck of his ship for basically cowardice. And I don't even know right now all of the pros and cons of him being convicted and being shot. Because he was convicted in an admiralty court, sort of like what you would call a court martial, but it's I guess because court martial is or is it called court martial still? Because court martial is court military, but naval. But is it still court martialed? I don't know. A naval court. He was convicted and shot, and we can talk about whether he is to blame and should or shouldn't be executed. But in a way, they were very right to execute Byng. Again, it may be a miscarriage of justice in his case, if any of you looked that stuff up. But and it's, oh God, and I hate doing this because I don't even know. That's early 1700s, if I'm not mistaken. But that basically tells all the rest of the British admirals and captains that if there's a choice between sort of saving your ship and letting the enemy win and going after the enemy, even if it means the loss of your ship or your fleet, but going and wrecking the enemy's fleet, we want you to go after the enemy's fleet. We don't want you giving up. We don't want you surrendering. Now that doesn't. Now once you're beat, once the enemy has stormed the, your quarterdeck and they've won the battle, or your ship has been blasted to ruins, then you can put the white flag up. You've fought the battle and you've lost. You can surrender. This isn't a no surrender. Britain never has a no surrender policy for its navy. It's not a, it's a not a no fight with, withdraw, meaning that the British ships, I want to say Hood and Repulse, get bombed out here by the Japanese because they're sailing around out here. I think they have a couple of minor escort vessels, and they have occasional land-based air cover, but nothing constant. The Japanese bomb and sink them. Okay. But let's just say they had air cover or something like that. And here comes a big Japanese fleet of battleships, the Musashi and the Yamamoto, the Yamato and the Musashi are all coming in here to bombard Singapore. Tradition of Britain is that your two battleships go out and fight them, even if you know you're going to lose. Now, once you've lost, then you're, run up the white flag, everybody abandon ship, and, try, once you've lost. But until you've lost, you fight. That's the British naval tradition. You don't surrender. This is what was so infuriating to so many naval personnel when those under Obama, and I don't know what the hell happened, and I think I sort of kind of believe them that they weren't paying attention, and the Iranian Navy grabbed a couple or one American fast boat or something in a crew that they let them go after a while, but I have a suspicion that they were under rules of engagement not to cause problems, because American naval tradition is you shoot it out with them. Oh, there's 20 enemy fast boats coming out. You shoot it out with them, and it's either just bad luck or your commander's fault for not having more and more support elements to it. You shoot. You don't surrender without a fight. So I have to really want. And I don't know what happened on that boat. Whether the captain's at fault. I don't care. The captain is at fault because the captain either refused to fight, and I don't have to be having any more facts than what I have. The captain is at fault because the captain either refused to fight to defend his vessel. Okay, that is a fault. Or the captain, as I've also sort of heard, is that they were all sort of down trying to fix an engine or something below, and they didn't see or notice or whatever until the Iranians had come alongside and started to board. And that was at least my understanding, is a special forces fast attack vessel, not just your, hey, yeah, there's some sailors out here, and have they ever fired a gun before? Because they're sailors, and good sailors. And I know a few Navy types watch this. I'm not disparaging them, because you can be a great guy working on the deck of an aircraft carrier, and know that very dangerous, very professional job very well, and be a very good sailor, but not, yeah, you may have fired a gun before, but you're not a gunfighter. I'm not expecting all to be, but the guys on those fast boats, those are gunfighters. Even if they're often mounted gunfighters, they did not fight. So the captain is at fault. I don't care if the boat was broken. And the captain's still at fault if the boat is broken, because it's the captain's fault for not having the boat working in good working order. It's the captain's fault. I don't care if he's still in the Navy. His which I'm sure by now he's no longer in the Navy. He's ruined. You don't continue on, and it's the captain's fault. And if he listens to this, he can come on and defend himself, because he should know that whatever happens to his vessel, his actual fault, meaning if there's a undersea mine that he runs into that no one knew about, it's still his fault, because he is the captain now, because everything that happens on board his vessel is his fault. That is a U.S. Navy principle. Okay, so now, that doesn't mean that Iran was doing everything right, or it should be, or that doesn't mean that the boat's captain, which I don't know that he was a naval captain, that would shock me that he was that high ranking, but his commanding officer of the boat squadron, or the admiral in charge of the fleet for the rules of engagement, aren't also at fault. They very well may be at fault too. It's not sole responsibility, but it is responsibility. Okay, so Percival knows, he's in charge of the Malaya campaign, and so he gets, the Japanese land, I think, right around here, and come down this side of the peninsula where the main road is, and they set up a good fighting defense, and the Japanese circle around and get behind it. At least a couple of times, and I believe the encircled troops fight their way out. I think sometimes they don't, and they get back here, and eventually they're down here. Well, now, okay, how do I put this? You don't know. Well, you don't know the enemy. You have what you think the enemy is. You may think he's 10 feet tall. and is armored and has unlimited ammunition. Okay, you may think that. So you don't know what the enemy is. You only know what you are. Okay. And I'll totally grant that. Now, of course, intelligence, military intelligence, is supposed to tell you is what they can understand about the enemy. And I have no idea what his military intelligence was telling them. They may have been entirely baffled and thought that the Japanese were 10 feet tall and were bulletproof and whatnot. Who knows what they thought. But we do know that the Singapore garrison was very large. It had a lot of units, including some recent arrivals, that hadn't been part of any of this retreat and fight here, that was well equipped, well armed, and maybe green, but well trained, I do believe, properly trained up. And they had plenty of ammo and plenty of equipment. We know all of that, and they knew that stuff. They didn't do anything. They sat in here, they waited. Once the Japanese got control of the freshwater reservoirs that supplied water into Singapore, Percival surrenders. Okay. He doesn't try to do anything about it. He surrenders. Now, all the big naval guns, because this is accurate in that they didn't have any landward fortresses, all the big naval guns couldn't be, turned around. They weren't in turrets. They were, pointed in certain directions. So all of that really good artillery that could wreck the Japanese couldn't be fired at them. Okay, that's a design flaw of the engineers who built the fortifications. They expected that this was rugged enough terrain that they'd be able to hold it and the threat would come from the sea. The Japanese saw that and go, oh, well, we'll come from the land because they have these big naval guns. Not that the Japanese Navy couldn't take them, it would just be costly in ships, and they didn't want to lose any ships. He didn't counterattack. And so, I don't know what he was thinking, whether he thought that, well, we'll save the civilian lives and the military lives, and we'll peaceably surrender, and the British Navy is going to come around the corner in 3 days after we surrender, or 3 months, and wipe away all these little Japs or something like that. Now, of course, he knows that it's not, because the British Navy is fighting for its life in the Atlantic. He's lost his 2 battleships that were sort of just sent over to sort of like say to the Japanese, hey, if you actually do attack us, it's going to be a real war. Oops, they get sunk. But, so the Navy isn't coming. I'm sure comes into his mindset. So he surrenders. Now, what we also know post the war, which they didn't know then, is that the fighting elements of the garrison, I'm not talking about some militia troops or some police or some, clerks, military clerks in some, office somewhere, but the fighting elements of the troops here outnumbered the Japanese, not just the besieging forces, but outnumbered the Japanese that had been landed. So whatever combat losses, captured, killed, wounded, that happened on the advance, the British still outnumber the Japanese. Oh, and the Japanese, by the time they get down here, are basically out of ammo. They can shoot their machine guns briefly, but all it takes is real advance into enemy contact, and the Japanese are going to run out of ammo, and they're down to bayonets. So Percival could readily, even if they're in a bad position, even if it's little taking civilian boats and going across to the little bits of water and whatever, they could have easily defeated the Japanese here in Singapore. Easily. Now, he didn't know that. I'll totally grant that. He only knew what he knew. But he had forces that had, I think they had put some garrison around the water reservoirs, but were beaten back. They wouldn't even do one good, effective attempt at counterattacking. And to me, that's criminal. That is not boy, I should remember these people. Wainwright, I believe, the general that MacArthur leaves in command at Bataan/Corregidor, that finally surrenders. They're out of food. They're out of ammo. You know, they're to the bayonets when he surrenders. And he leads as active as he can a defense of Bataan and Corregidor and that part of the Philippines. So as active as he can, he defends that until, like I say, they're out of ammo. And could he have done something different, like attempt to break out or through the sea, because they were still sort of controlling Manila Bay, I think, through Fort Drum and whatnot, and try to flood Americans and their, because there were many more Filipinos in the pocket there than there were Americans, but try to flood those people out into, you know, the guerrilla war fighting and whatnot. He might have done so if he knew how bad the Japanese were going to treat all of the prisoners. He very well might have done so. And so there is, you know, that, sure, but, you know, so yeah, we could talk about could have done maybe with what he had. And I entirely blame MacArthur for the food and ammo shortages. It would have run out eventually, of course, but there was big stocks of it somewhere over in some bases over here that were left there when they marched up to confront the Japanese. And in the retreat back to Bataan, there was, I'll be generous, no ability to move the food at that point, because they had been using the trucks and the transport to move the troops up and then move them back. So I'm being generous, as opposed to just somebody not doing their job. And I'm not necessarily saying MacArthur, because even if just doing the Philippines, that general, you know, a general cannot run around and do every clerk's and every captain's and every lieutenant's jobs. You know, he has to delegate to some authority. So I don't know how much, if they tried to move some of it and they just only got what they could get, or whether it was just panic and the people that were supposed to, including some of the Filipino army elements by that time, are just because a bunch of Filipino army elements in the mess before they get to the Bataan Peninsula. I don't know if you know, but Bataan is sort of the peninsula, the northern sort of peninsula on Manila Bay, and sort of mountainous, and you know, so that was sort of the defensive line there that they had. And while you hold Bataan, you can't effectively use Manila Bay as a harbor. You know, even if you get Manila City and whatnot, you can't use the harbor. So to control the harbor, and that was sort of the primary reason for the city, and you could, through Fort Drum, if you wanted to, shell Manila City. So and those are, I think, 10-inch guns. You know, they're big guns in Fort Drum. And they were in turrets that could go all the way around. And there's two of them. I recently looked it up again. There's two turrets. One of the turrets might not have been able to turn around because they were sort of in battleship style, in which, you know, one was in front of the other and the rear one was above the forward one. And so to turn around the other direction, now you would have to chop down the observation tower, but that's no problem. There was just a thin sort of observation tower that chop it down or shoot through it. I don't know if you had turned the guns around, if the forward turret, if you will, could have fired necessarily. Again, I don't know it quite angling in all 360 degrees, but the upper turret, and each turret had two guns. The upper turret was both turrets were heavily armored. Both turrets are still there to this day. I mean, they're rusted hulks, but the Japanese couldn't destroy them. The Americans couldn't destroy them. They're still sitting there. Obviously, over time we could have destroyed them, but there's no point. But during the war, they weren't. And they were sort of too big to even sort of scrap in Japan's desperate need for steel. And the U.S., I do believe, had sabotaged the guns to the point that they weren't going to be effective to be used for the Japanese in defense of Manila Bay. But so Fort Drum's turrets, and they were definitely firing, and they, I think, shot up all their ammunition is what they sort of ended up doing, firing in support of the Bataan Peninsula and Corregidor. So they were doing counter battery fire against the Japanese. That was a good strategy. So I don't know that both turrets could go complete 360, but one of them could go 360 and cover that out, and that controls Manila Bay. And like I say, can shell the city if you want to. There was no real point. What industry that was there, that at least in the short time that the U.S. was still holding out, wasn't anything effectively used for the Japanese. But so yeah, I don't know the supply situation. It could have been, yeah, we're using the trucks now, then later let's move the stuff. But by that time, all the Filipinos were, lots of them were deserting, just because they were sort of constabulary troops, sort of peacekeeping within the Philippines. They weren't necessarily trained or motivated or what to fight an enemy that's fighting well. Okay, we've lost a transport. Where? Oh, okay. So we have some U.S. here. Let's look at. Okay, so right now we need to, I think, shut down trade with Mexico. Unfortunately, we can't. I wish we could specify like a port to go and or because we can see them here, and a path. It would be really cool, and I know they're not going to do this, but like if we could designate a path, way down here around. But okay, we can't, so we can't. Trades. Mexico. Okay, well. Oh, export. Well, we are. Yeah, we don't need to import metal. I think we can still export without being our convoys, because if we're exporting, it's their convoys, not ours. So we want to stop that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think we can reach these people. So let's just end some of these. Now that we're both at war. Hopefully free up convoys. Some of the stuff that we were doing, I think, that were happening on our convoys and not on theirs. Soviet Union, we still want to continue to trade with. Okay, that's better. And my current policy with Japan, unlike Germany, is I'm planning on keeping all of my trades going. Do this until we start having losses, because if we can effectively trade with well, even Venezuela up here, before it was coming through here, I'm sure, and we may very well take a loss or two. Well, oh, have we? Enemy has sunk 4 of our convoys. Okay, we're gonna end Venezuela trade. Okay, we are exporting money for oil. We will get rid of that. That isn't worth the loss. And yes, down here I'm not that the U.S. Yes, they're going. While this ends, they're going to get a few more, I guess. But I don't know how far, because they can base out of. Right, because eventually they likely will get some more South American allies. But they can base out of Colón here, Panama Canal. Probably Colón means canal in Spanish. But I don't know how far out they're going to actually base. We've ended that, and we've ended that. Okay, that's good. So yeah. So we've ended those. And if they start coming down here, we'll deal with that. Obviously, we are sinking stuff out here, but we're going after these guys to end this possible okay, they've okay, we're starting to overdo the supply here, but there we go. That's going to probably push us over on supply, but hey, okay, I think we're going to try the well, I've yet to see, and we do have, okay, there's somebody here. Don't know what that is. Our radio intercepts have spotted something, whether that's air or navy, I'm not even sure. Oh, okay, we did this sort of problem of landing in other places, but I think we'll be able to effectively get that. Now, okay, this is part of the supply problem, but okay, that'll cover out to there. No, we are going to do air intercept. Well, let's put it a little more close to actually sort of, no, air intercept. There we go. Well, okay, we'll do that air intercept. These guys, they're carrier aircraft, but they're currently land basing, so they're going to do that. Okay, well, we can get all the way to our port, so we're going to, well, let's just concentrate right there, one province. No, just one province. Just right there. You're going to do naval strikes. Okay, they're all doing their thing. Okay, that is too far. I was hoping that would do it, obviously. Well, I think if I were to move this to here, though, that from there would probably do it, but I don't think we're going to take the time. Okay, we're just going to try to go in. I was hoping to keep them within range. Okay, does it matter? I don't know what ships we put them on, because well, there we are. I wanted to make sure we get our, because I don't know if we're going to be able to hold everything. Sort of think that'll be enough. Yeah. Let's try this. Movement. These guys are going to move the fastest over our transports, I believe. So that's fine. They'll sort of clear the way. Maybe have a very big naval battle, maybe not. This is where it should happen if they are at all set up for things. Okay, you can't make it. Okay. Unboard. Debark, yeah, I know. We may be calling this off. Okay, now let's get rid of that. Now, this one, no. This one. Can you make it? Can the assault ship make it? Yes, okay. It's the destroyers being a limiting aspect. I thought it might be. And these guys sort of overloaded, especially if we have any losses to any sort of actions, but I'm hoping not. Maybe I should have. I sent these guys to pick up more, but I'm sort of we're overdoing the supplies as it is. And we very well may use these to go after Wake, because we want to shut down Wake as well. Yes, Fat Berry, they keep attacking there. Okay, these guys are just taking a long while, as you can see my invasion plans there. Just getting across the rivers, through the mountains. It's taking time now. How? Okay. Well, hopefully, but even if these guys do cross this river, get into here, we'll be attacking again from not across the river, so we'll deal with that. We're going to try to be smart about our invasion of India as opposed to just trying to sledgehammer it in. Okay, well, we see right here our naval air is just getting munched by some CAGs. Are those CAGs? And there's some CVs here. Good thing we are sending our fleet in, and I'm going to do this because this is an experiment. This is not just, oh, I made a blunder, gotta live with it, keep fighting. Nope. Okay, this is an experiment. Okay, our fighter here is taking on some American bombers that may be going after these guys, or maybe they're just sort of kind of being out here. I'm not sure, because they may just have been going, well, they may be going after, oh, well, why can't I click on that? I don't know. Okay, climb rate focus. I think that's a one and done. Yeah, climb rate focus, one and done. Okay. Airborne warfare research. That I believe is down here. Airborne. Oh, is it under special forces? Airborne warfare. Yeah, we'll let that continue. Infantry support, weapons advance. That may be the one that is pushing it. Yeah, 44 is too far in advance to continue researching now. Yeah, we got all those rivers, mountains, jungle movement. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll push a little bit ahead on that. And somebody has our blueprints. Hopefully it's a friendly power. We got 0.75 of a leadership point to do. Yeah, we could do the frigate tech. Are these guys at all coming after that fighter bomber group? Okay. Yes. So again, if we get munched out here by anything, I'm going to call it, okay, go reload. Because I'm still very much in an experimental phase with learning a lot of this stuff. Okay, okay, you guys, we don't mean you to get destroyed. I mean, it's one thing to sort of be wrecked and go home, but don't come back. Get reorganized, don't come back. But it did tell us we do have CVs there. These guys are moving along fairly quickly, so that's good. So they're sort of being escorted, at least somewhat, by. Oh, come on. Looks like they're following the same path, so hopefully any enemy vessels will be cleared out of the way. If I have to, obviously I can attach some of these the transports straight to the main fleets, and I'd be happy. And if I was playing it properly safe and wasn't planning on, like, if things go wrong, redoing this, I would be attaching at least one of these fleets directly to the transports and making a big sort of transport escorted thing. Heavy AA guns, great. That helps with a lot of the HQ types. And we're stopping that, and probably not coming back to that, because I hope to have a decision before 45. You know how the game goes. Won, lost, whatever, but I hope we'll know before then. Okay, well, yeah, we can do the anti-air upgrades now. That's useful. Our submarines are sort of kind of looking around, but they don't have maybe good looks on shore. Ooh, there's a lot of units here. We may need more forces. Major victory. Okay, so we've taken out these guys, sort of waiting for that to happen. Okay, you don't need to go into there. You guys can come straight down here. Hold that open. You guys can come in also from any counterattack. Yeah, these guys are not maybe doing well, but they're there to sort of back them up if there's a counterattack, and mostly just trying to pin the forces in location. Uh-oh. Okay. We've got the USS Farragut, Putnam, Hawkins, and King being attacked, battling. They're getting... Okay, the US lost 2 destroyers at least. Might have lost some other stuff too. Pocket battleship has taken a little bit of damage in the action. Okay, we lost 2 submarines. Oh, well, you're gonna, yeah, you're disappearing. Okay, there. Well, I lost 3 more submarines. Okay, we have the USS Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Is he dead yet? Already? Where did they come up with that name? They don't name. I might have done the Teddy Roosevelt because he was dead, but Franklin D. Roosevelt, not until after he's dead. Okay. We're saving. Okay, single engine armament research have advanced. That would be for over here. Okay. Twin engine transport. Okay, that'll increase range, deal with some of these other things that reduce range, better armament or other things. Okay, so we are still heading there. We are okay. They've lost some destroyers. We haven't, that I've known of. Now we could be taking losses from airbase stuff that is not showing up on, because it's only giving us naval notices at the point. Okay. Okay. The Battle of the Channel. Okay, well, Zuikaku's not in good shape at the moment, but we got the Bennington, Boxer, Bonhomme Richard, Reprisals, bunch of CVs. Ireland is mobilizing. Well, good for you. Okay, we've got the Kagi, the Kaga, is in this. Asoyu, Nihiru. Okay, so we've got... Oh, okay. We've lost the destroyer and 2 heavy cruisers. The U.S. has lost a bunch of destroyers so far. Whoa. No. No, you guys come here. And I learned this. I didn't know this before. That I could change the destination. Move to Sunset Beach. Okay, you're all going to... But there's still somebody in this. Flotilla, okay. Come to Sunset Beach. We have no desire to be over on that island. Okay, you're Sunset Beach. Okay, those all, for some reason, are still the line. Okay, it's moved there. Okay, well, we have the 59th Koromo Division, HQ, sure. Autarky, no. I've been waiting for this stuff because we're going to go no, because we're doing fine. I mean, if we get too much lower, we might accept some of those, but those are reducing our descent. Okay, infantry anti-tank weapons has advanced, which allows us to do these other branches. Oh, and infantry guns, rocket-propelled anti-tank weapons. Yeah, something that the Japanese didn't have. We'll take that, and we'll do standard branch. And what's still assault weapons? Oh, these guys. These assault weapons, and we'll do light infantry branch. Single engine maneuver. Ability focus, I think that's also a one and done. Yes, and that frees up another one, which allows us to do special forces branch, get the elites and the paras improved. Okay, well, so far we haven't lost any capital ships. And well, we've lost a sub out here. Well, knew that kind of thing would happen. Now, there's a big stack of units here. There is a battle commander amongst them, but there may be a lot of headquarters, so I'm not terribly worried. Now, of course, I was advised to bring 10 divisions. I've only brought 6, as you can see. Yeah, and of course I can bring more. Either with a redo or try to bring in more. I don't know, but let's. Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! Okay, the Battle of Nihon, whatever channel. We've lost a pocket battleship and a destroyer group. They've lost 2 battleships, the first and the second. So those are just some, production line. But they've also lost the USS New Mexico, the USS Idaho, and the USS Mississippi. See their numbers there, plus a whole big bunch of destroyers. So far we're doing good. Yeah, I'll trade a pocket battleship for any 2 of their proper battleships. I'll trade that. Money for metal. How? Okay. Operation Foul Blue, Braunschweig, plan for strategic summer offensive. Okay, so Germany's doing that in the Soviet Union, which I at the moment don't care about. This is too exciting. Their division, the 24th Hawaiian Division, looks like it's getting pounded. Okay, aero engine research. I guess we gotta clear these out, or otherwise I wouldn't. Okay, that's grayed out as I thought. Okay. Come on, people. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Defensive positions. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll be ready to defend Hawaii from Midway is ours. Sir, our forces have captured Midway Island. Yes, I know that. From the Americans, we now have an incredibly advantageous position in which to launch attacks against Hawaii. Yes, we do. Yes, okay. Very nice. Guam is ours. Yes. Admiral Yamamoto. Good, so we've got Guam, of course, as we know that. Okay, yes, we'll take this division. Okay, a plan for the Pacific, Your Majesty. Finally, they get that right, because it's always been Your Highness. Because if this message that we're presuming that we're the Emperor Hirohito, it would be Your Majesty. At least that's the English proper designation. We are now solidly at war with the Americans. After careful consideration, we believe that our best strategy at this point is to strengthen our positions on our existing island holdings while simultaneously concentrating on secure other strategically important islands that belong to our enemies. We must focus on research efforts on naval and amphibious technologies. Additionally, we are I should learn how to read too. Additionally, we should secure certain islands. Specific elite historical units will be available to our commanders in the field via a staging area in Tokyo. As we do so, our citizens will become more and more inspired, affording us with boosts to our economy, basing efficiency. I've been needing that, and the like. We await your orders, Your Highness. Okay. Unleash hell on the Americans. And scrap metal drive. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. We might change our mind later on. And I guess something is boosting our research because yeah, we have slightly more. Just slightly more. Okay, we'll push ahead on these to win our air battles. Do we get onto Sunset Beach? Because it only so far looks like we're seeing a garrison unit move from here to there. Now, this province does have its own fortifications, so it would be, if it's just other fairly lightish forces, it would actually be maybe better to dig in and hold there. What are we still fighting out here in the channel? Okay, well, the USS Wisconsin is their battleship. USS Ohio. Montana. Battleships are named after states. At least that's the standard tradition. So if you see a Wisconsin or an Ohio, you just know, even without seeing BB there, of course. But BB is, of course, battleship in the American tradition. Oh, are we no longer okay? Yeah, we're still pushing ashore. Good. Okay. Pacific Defender, Your Imperial Highness, this has happened to us. National manpower plus 2%. ICs plus 2%. Daily descent change minus 2%, so that's good. National unity plus 2 or 0.2 or whatever, and supply throughput up 2%. Very good. Bridging equipment has advanced. Very good. That will help us. Okay. Yes, that will help us. Oh, we'll do this. Continue that. And agricultural industry. We can afford the money. Yeah, we'll take that. Okay. Taishin Shundan. Our commanders believe that an experienced focus group of airborne commandos may be just what we need in order to continue our Pacific pursuits. I know we're sort of focusing on this, and this is important, but brigade of highly trained air mobile infantry is now deployed to Tokyo, sir. We are busy preparing for additional supporting. Okay, very good. The 343rd Koku Tai, sir, our continued progress in the Pacific campaign. We are forming an elite unit comprising brigades of the best soldiers in our ranks. The first of these units, the Kokutai here, is now deploying to airfields in Tokyo. Historical, okay, naval air fighter groups. Okay, that looks like Army aircraft though. So, yeah, because those look like IJA aircraft, Imperial Japanese Army aircraft. But okay, I could be wrong. I very well could be. Just what it looks like to me. But I'm not saying. Notice I'm not saying is. I'm saying looks like. For those of you who may be new here, I style what I say here as historical commentary. If you want hard facts, you can look at my mods. Those, when I do that, that is solid history, that is well researched. Or other things, and of course, if I'm reading one of these, we give them fuel for money. Okay, let's see if we can... since they have money for fuel, do they have deficit of energy? Okay. Deficit of metal. They're not having enough metal. Oh, we can get because we still have massive amounts. Let's see if we can get rare materials. I know we will likely that'll be good. Likely be getting more, and yes, we should be looking in other places. Okay, so we've gotten this. Okay, we don't need to keep out here, so go back to port. Back to port. We'll get ready for another, you know, invasion. But here, okay, koala. Yeah, we'll just come out of Tokyo. It's not that much difference from there. There we go. So now we are running supplies through there. Yeah, I know we haven't done a day one. Now, you know, let's see about... Well, destroy that may be enough of an escort. I'm not sure, though. Come up here, and we'll see about grabbing some of these forces. Instead of sending my naval marines marching through the jungle, which they'd probably do fairly well, I think I would rather come and pick them up and do other naval invasions with them, whether it's the Philippines or, you know, Java and Sumatra and whatnot, or just other random islands. Though the random islands probably aren't garrisoned by that much, but we will certainly see, and send in the sort of regular infantry type divisions to do the marching across Borneo and whatnot. And we may be, even before they make it across, even before they make it across Borneo, we may be doing naval invasions around them. We'll see. And as you can sort of tell, cruisers were named after cities in the U.S. convention. So you have USS Northampton, USS San Francisco, USS Memphis, USS Preston, USS Lansdowne. I don't know where Lansdowne is. Northampton is a major... There's probably more than one Northampton, but I'm presuming that's in Virginia. And then, like, destroyers are generally named after persons. O'Bannon, and normally dead persons. Okay, so we have basing advance. That's going to help, I do believe, with our supply throughput. I'm going to let this go. It definitely will help. I know for sure, it helps us base more units out of smaller ports. So when we have a port that's 1 or 2 and I want to stick a couple of carrier groups to base out of them, that'll help. Okay, and this will also take down. I've been counting on that once the war started to happening at some point to reduce our descent levels. Okay, we've lost 2 motor torpedo boats while they've lost 3 destroyers out here. Okay, we had been having some of those motor torpedo group boats just sort of patrolling, and so that's what got hit, but these guys probably killed the destroyers. Okay, we've won the Battle of Sunset Beach. Wow, 9 CVs. Well, I'm going to end the episode here, and I don't know if I'm going to wait for your input or not. Should I immediately try to run away with my fleet being successful, or should I hang out here with my fleet to battle theirs? 54 destroyers, not that they can't do damage to us, they can, but 9 CVs, which, well, if we've destroyed their air power, then those CVs are almost meaningless, and we have not been getting good reports on their air power. My air power, well, they're still, and these guys are two group strong, so they're somewhat shattered. They're bombing the channel and they're battling a little bit of there. Okay, so they don't have much air power left. Good to know. And so that's, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 BBs they have. Those are maybe the scary things. We don't have much in the way of BBs. So either we got CAGs, or we've got pocket battleships that are almost wrecked, and heavy cruisers. These guys will, oh wow, we've had 1 loss there because there were 4, but it looks like all of our guys are, well, yeah, look, oh, you know, they're all there. Made it ashore. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts before we move ahead, but on whether we should fight that out. Now maybe I should have brought these guys up here, some of our own battleships. That probably would have been a good solution, is to have some of our own battleships in the fight as well. I did it just with carriers, and here a bunch of other battleships with 1 light carrier. Probably too late to get them before they evacuate the area. But yeah, okay. Thanks for liking the videos. Thanks just for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And of course, I really love hearing from you on this or any other topics. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.